As the sun sets on the ancient world, the day releases its grip. The streets grow quiet. The voices fade. The world softens. For thousands of years, humans have felt this same transition. The relief as light gives way to darkness. The permission to finally stop. Tonight, we journey back to the final hours before sleep in the world of the ancient Stoics. We walk through their evening rituals. We sit beside them as they reflect. We learn how they found peace in a world as turbulent as our own. Let the day fall away. Let the mind rest. Let the ancient world teach you how to sleep. Chapter 1. Night descends on the ancient world. The lamps are being lit now, one by one, across the ancient city. In the markets of Athens, the merchants close their stalls. The day's negotiations are complete. The shouting has faded. The haggling has ended. Coins have been counted. Goods have been sold. And now, the wooden shutters close with a satisfying finality. In Rome, the forum empties. The lawyers and politicians who filled the space with rhetoric and debate now walk home through narrow streets. Their togas gather dust. Their voices grow soft. The marble columns stand silent, waiting for tomorrow's dramas. In Alexandria, the great library grows still. Scholars set down their scrolls. Scribes cover their work. The papyrus that has occupied their thoughts all day is rolled and stored. The search for knowledge pauses, as it must. The world exhales. This is the rhythm the Stoics understood deeply. They knew that darkness is not an enemy to be fought, but a companion to be welcomed. Night is not an interruption of life, but an essential part of it. Marcus Aurelius, writing in his tent on the Danube frontier, reflected often on this natural rhythm. He watched the sun set over barbarian lands and recognized in that daily death and rebirth the pattern of all existence. Each sunset teaches the same lesson if we have eyes to see it. Seneca once wrote, "Before I sleep, I examine my entire day." But this examination was not harsh, not the cruel audit of a judge. It was gentle awareness, a review without judgment, a simple accounting of hours lived. He would ask himself, where did I act with virtue? Where did I fall short? Where did anger take hold? Where did I show kindness, not to punish himself, but to know himself, not to shame, but to learn? And in that examination there was release. The day, once witnessed, could be set down. Its burdens need not be carried into sleep. Now, as the day releases you, as the sun dips below the distant hills, as the first stars pierce the deepening blue, you too can release the day. What was done is done. You cannot reach back and change it. What was said is said. The words have left your mouth and made their mark. What was felt has moved through you like weather through a valley. Tomorrow will bring its own light. Tomorrow will ask its own questions. Tomorrow will offer its own opportunities for virtue and for failure, but tonight you rest. The ancients looked up at these same stars. Socrates gazed at them from Athens. Zeno saw them from Cyprus. Cleanthes contemplated them as he drew water from wells to pay for his education. Marcus Aurelius watched them wheel overhead from military camps across the empire. They felt this same cooling air on their skin. They knew this same relief as the world grew dark and quiet. They understood that they were small beneath an incomprehensibly vast universe, and somehow that understanding brought peace rather than terror. You are part of an ancient rhythm, a rhythm older than Rome, older than Greece, older than philosophy itself. It is the rhythm of day and night, of waking and sleeping, of doing and being, of striving and releasing, let the day fall away. The lamp beside you burns with the same warm light that illuminated Seneca's study, Marcus's tent, Epictetus's school. That flame has passed through thousands of hands, tens of thousands of nights, and it has always meant the same thing. Safety, rest, the end of the day's labours. Tonight, under the lamp's warm glow, you are connected to every human who has ever sought peace at day's end. You are part of an unbroken chain of seekers, stretching back to the first fire, the first shelter, the first moment someone decided that rest was sacred. Chapter 2. The scribe finishes his work. In a small room, warm with lamplight, a young scribe closes his wax tablet. The work is done, not perfect, not complete, but enough. His name might have been Marcus, or Lucius, or Gaius. History has not preserved it. He was one of thousands of scribes who kept the empire running with their careful hands and patient hours. Anonymous, essential, human. All day he has copied texts, letters to distant provinces, written by men who consider themselves more important than the man who makes their words permanent. Accounts of grain shipments, numbers that mean someone will eat or go hungry. Philosophy treatises, ideas that will outlive both the thinker and the scribe. Poems, feelings pressed into words, words pressed into wax. His hand aches. There is a familiar cramp between his thumb and forefinger. His eyes are weary from following lines by inadequate lamplight. His back protests the hours of hunching over his work. But there is peace in this weariness. It is honest exhaustion, the fatigue of work done with care. His body tells him you spent yourself on something. You gave attention and effort. You transform blank surfaces into meaning. Outside his window, the world has already moved on. The street is quiet now. Earlier, there were footsteps, conversations, the sounds of evening, but those have faded. The day has finished with him or without him. The stars don't wait for his permission to appear. The moon doesn't pause for him to complete his tasks. This truth could be crushing. The world's indifference could feel like rejection. But Epictetus taught, some things are within our control, and some things are not. The scribe controlled his effort. He could choose to be careful or careless. He controlled his attention. He could let his mind wander or hold it steady on the work. He controlled his care. He could see this as mere labour or as service. The outcome, that belongs to the world. Whether anyone reads these words, whether they matter, whether they change anything, these are not his to determine, and so he covers his work with a clean cloth. The gesture is tender, final. He steps away from the desk that has held his attention all day. He releases it. This is wisdom, not to work until collapse, not to chase perfection into the night like a man pursuing a ghost, but to know when enough is enough. The Stoics understood this deeply. They were not lazy. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire. Seneca advised emperors and wrote constantly. Epictetus taught until his last days, but they also knew that virtue includes knowing when to stop. There is a time for labour and a time for rest. Confusing the two leads to suffering. Working until exhaustion is not noble. It is foolish. Perfection is not a destination you can reach tonight. You too have done enough today. Listen, whatever was left undone will wait. That email can be sent tomorrow. That decision can be made with morning clarity. That problem will still be there at dawn, and you will face it with renewed strength. The world will still turn without your effort. The sun will still rise, whether you solve everything tonight or not. Your worth is not measured by your exhaustion. Tonight, rest in the knowledge that you gave what you could give. You showed up. You tried. You cared. That is enough. That has always been enough. The lamp on the scribe's desk burns on for a while, illuminating his abandoned work. Then he returns, considers it briefly, and gently blows it out. Darkness fills the room, but it is not a frightening darkness. It is the darkness of permission, the darkness of release, the darkness that says, you can stop now. You are allowed to rest. And that is as it should be. Chapter 3. Epictetus in the quiet courtyard. The moon has risen over the courtyard, casting everything in silver and shadow. A man sweeps the stones with a worn broom, back and forth, back and forth. The rhythm is gentle, meditative, almost like breathing. The sound of bristles on stone, the soft scrape of dust being gathered, the everyday music of care. This is Epictetus, not as history knew him, the teacher whose lectures were recorded by devoted students, whose words influenced emperors and continue to guide seekers 2,000 years later. Not the philosopher whose school in Nicopolis drew students from across the empire. Just a man, finishing his day, tending to simple things. He was born a slave in Hierapolis. He lived in chains for decades, the property of Epaphroditus, a cruel man who served the Emperor Nero. His very name, Epictetus, means acquired one. A slave's name, a possession's designation. One day, his master twisted his leg so severely that he walked with a limp for the rest of his life. Yet here, in this quiet moment, none of that weighs on him. The old injury doesn't trouble his mind. The memory of chains doesn't darken his peace. The injustices he suffered don't poison this simple task. He taught his students, it's not what happens to you, but how you respond to it that matters. And here, in the courtyard, his response to the day's end is simply to sweep, to tend to small things, to finish the day with care, to leave the space clean for tomorrow's students, tomorrow's discussions, tomorrow's seekers. There is no urgency here, no striving, no ambition beyond this moment, no worry about tomorrow's lecture or yesterday's mistakes, no anxiety about whether he spoke well or poorly, no concern about his reputation or his legacy, just presence, just this broom, just these stones, just this moonlight. This is what the Stoics called living in accordance with nature. Not grand philosophical statements, but simple presence. Not transcendent wisdom, but ordinary care. Not escape from the world, but full inhabitation of this moment. Peace is found in simple tasks, the way water finds its level, the way a tree grows toward light. Not forced, not fabricated, natural. Peace is found in simple thoughts, not complex philosophies, not elaborate systems. Just, I am here, I am sweeping, the moon is bright, the day is done. Peace is found in the way a broom moves across stone, in the way dust gathers, in the way shadows fall, in the way the moon rises, whether we notice or not. Epictetus learned this in chains. If he could find it there, it can be found anywhere. If he could access it while being tortured, while being property, while being dismissed as less than human, then it is available to you tonight. You don't need to be extraordinary to find peace. You don't need to achieve greatness before you can rest. You don't need perfect circumstances or ideal conditions. The courtyard doesn't care about your accomplishments. The moon doesn't ask for your resume. The stones don't judge you worthy or unworthy. They simply are, and you can simply be with them. Peace is available in simple presence, in finishing the small task, in putting things in order, in letting the day be done. When Epictetus finishes sweeping, he sets the broom aside with care. He sits on a simple stone bench, built by hands long forgotten. He looks up at the stars. He breathes. Nothing more is required of him tonight. Nothing more is required of you. Epictetus once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." Tonight, want nothing more than this: breath, stillness, rest, the feeling of having tended to what needed tending, the satisfaction of small completions, the peace of a day ended with care. These are not small things, they are everything. Chapter 4. The traveller rests by the olive tree. Dust rises from the road behind him, catching the last light of day like gold powder in the air. A traveller stops. Finally he stops. He has walked all day. From dawn, when the world was grey and cool, until now, as the sun sinks toward the distant hills and the heat finally begins to break. Mile after mile through the Mediterranean heat, stone underfoot, sun overhead, the weight of his pack pulling at his shoulders with every step. His destination is still distant, perhaps 2 more days of walking, perhaps 3, perhaps more. The roads are uncertain and he is not young. In the morning he woke with determination. Today he would cover great distance. Today he would make real progress. Today he would push hard towards his goal. But the day had other plans. The heat was fierce. His pace was slower than hoped. His body is older than his ambition remembers. But the sun has set. That is the decision maker now, not his will. The road ahead has vanished into shadow. The next town is too far to reach before full darkness. The path becomes dangerous in the dark. Loose stones, uncertain footing, and who knows what else. And so he stops. Not because he wants to, because he must. Because wisdom sometimes looks like accepting what is. This is not failure. This is not giving up. This is not weakness. This is wisdom. There is an ancient olive tree here beside the road. Perhaps it was planted intentionally as a waypoint. Perhaps it grew wild. It doesn't matter. It has stood here for centuries, possibly longer than Rome itself. Its trunk is gnarled, twisted by time and weather into shapes that suggest faces, hands, the flow of water made solid. The traveller removes his pack with a sigh that contains both relief and resignation. His shoulders feel suddenly light, almost strange without the familiar weight. He lowers himself to the ground, his back against the rough bark. The tree holds him. It has held thousands before. Him. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present, not to tomorrow's miles, not to yesterday's delays, not to the destination that pulls at him with its imagined comforts, not to the home he left behind with its familiar sorrows. Just here, under this tree, in this moment, with this body, with this breath, with this fading light." The tree has stood here for centuries. It has witnessed thousands of travellers, some anxious, racing against time, unable to stop even when they should, some peaceful, grateful for the shade and shelter, some desperate, fleeing something behind them, some hopeful, moving towards something ahead. The tree offers the same shelter to all. Its shade falls on the virtuous and the wicked alike. Its branches sway in the same breeze for the rich and the poor. It makes no judgments. It asks no questions. It simply stands and offers what it has. You don't have to finish the journey today. This is one of the hardest lessons. We are taught to persist, to never give up, to push through, to ignore our limitations, to treat rest as weakness and exhaustion as proof of commitment. But the Stoics knew better. They understood that wisdom includes knowing your limits, that virtue includes honouring your body, that courage sometimes means stopping. The path will still be there tomorrow. Every stone you didn't walk today will wait patiently for your feet. The destination will still be waiting. It's not going anywhere. Time is not racing ahead without you. But tonight, this tree, this rest, this breath, this moment of not going, this is enough. This is everything. This is what being human means. Sometimes the bravest thing is to stop, to recognize that you are human, that rest is not weakness. That stopping is part of moving forward. The Stoics understood this intimately. They walked thousands of miles in their lives. Marcus Aurelius travelled constantly with the army. Seneca was exiled to Corsica. Epictetus journeyed from Greece to Rome and back. They knew the weight of the pack, the ache of tired feet, the way distance can feel infinite when you're exhausted, and they knew that the journey includes the resting places. That arrival is not the only thing that matters, that how you travel matters as much as where you're going. The traveller closes his eyes. The cooling air feels like mercy on his sun-heated skin. He listens to the olive leaves rustling above him, that ancient sound that has soothed travellers since before there were words for peace. So tonight, wherever you are on your journey, whatever distance still lies ahead, whatever you haven't accomplished, whatever remains undone, stop, rest here, under this ancient tree, under these ancient stars. Let your back rest against something solid. Let your breath slow. Let the day's miles fade from your muscles. Tomorrow you can walk again. Tomorrow you can strive again. Tomorrow you can carry your burdens again. But tonight you are simply a human being, resting beneath a tree, held by the earth, watched by the stars. And that is not just enough. That is sacred. Chapter 5, Seneca extinguishes the lamp. The study is warm with lamplight and the day's lingering thoughts. Seneca sits at his desk, surrounded by the accumulated work of a lifetime. Scrolls crowd the shelves. Wax tablets bear the marks of today's writing. Letters waiting to be sent. Letters received and requiring response. The words of others. His own words. An endless conversation across distance and time. Advisor to emperors. Playwright whose works still move audiences. Philosopher whose letters have guided seekers for 2 millennia. Wealthy beyond measure. Powerful beyond most men's dreams. And yet, at this moment, simply a tired man at the end of a long day. He's been writing for hours. Letters to Lucilius, his young friend, offering guidance on how to live. Thoughts on mortality, that great subject that occupies him more as the years accumulate. On virtue, what it means to be good in a world that often rewards cruelty. On time, that most precious and most wasted resource. The words have flowed tonight, some wisdom perhaps, some truth if he was fortunate, some beauty he hopes, though he knows beauty is not his to judge. His stylus has moved across the wax with the particular rhythm of deep concentration, that state where time disappears and there is only thought becoming word, word becoming mark, mark becoming meaning, is one of the great pleasures of his life, this transformation, this act of capturing what moves through the mind and making it permanent, shareable, real. But now his eyes are heavy. There is a particular weariness that comes from concentrated thought. The mind has given what it can give. The well has been drawn down. Tomorrow it will fill again, as it always does, but tonight it is empty, and he knows with the certainty that comes from decades of practice. He doesn't need to solve everything tonight. He once wrote to Lucilius, "Each day I prepare for life as if it were complete, not with morbid obsession, not with the dark fascination of one in love with death, but with awareness, with presence, with the understanding that this day, this very day, might be his. Last, and if it is, has he lived it well? Each day has its shape, its particular wholeness, its beginning, its middle, its end, like a story, like a song, like a wave that rises, crests, and returns to the sea, and when night comes, the day is done, not abandoned halfway, not left ragged and unfinished, done, complete in itself, whether perfect or flawed. He doesn't need every answer tonight. The questions that trouble him, about virtue under tyranny, about how to live well in a corrupt court, about whether his wealth contradicts his philosophy, these will still be there tomorrow. They have been there for years. One more night will not matter. He doesn't need to write one more line. The letter to Lucilius is long enough. His thoughts are expressed well enough. More words would not make them truer. He doesn't need to perfect what he's already written. The search for perfection is endless, and perfection is not the goal. Honest effort is the goal. Clear thought is the goal. Helpful words are the goal. These he has offered. Tomorrow will bring new questions. It always does. Life is an inexhaustible source of problems and puzzles and challenges. Tomorrow will bring new thoughts. The mind rested will see things tonight's tired mind cannot. Tomorrow will bring new challenges. The emperor will make new demands. The court will present new dilemmas. But tomorrow will bring its own light. His hand reaches for the oil lamp. His fingers, stained with ink and showing the spots of age, adjust the wick. The flame flickers, casting moving shadows on the wall. For a moment he watches it. This small fire, this tiny sun, this human creation that pushes back the dark. In the darkness there is permission. Permission to not know, to be uncertain, to carry questions without answers, to acknowledge limits. Permission to not strive, to cease effort, to stop pushing against the world for a few hours, to let go of ambition. Permission to simply be. Not Seneca the philosopher, not Seneca the advisor, not Seneca the wealthy man or the famous playwright. Just being, just consciousness, just breath, just this. And so he breathes out. One long, slow exhalation, releasing the day, releasing the thoughts, releasing the need to be anything other than a tired man at the end of his hours. The flame flickers once more, smoke wisps upward, catching the last of the light, and then darkness. The study, which has been his world for these evening hours, disappears, but he knows every corner of it. He knows where the door stands. He knows the path to his bed. He doesn't need light to find rest. You too can extinguish your lamp. The questions will wait. They have infinite patience. The problems will still be there in the morning. Not one of them will vanish because you stayed awake worrying. The work will wait. It always waits. But tonight, in this darkness, there is only peace. Seneca also wrote, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future." This present moment is dark, is quiet, is still, and that is exactly what it should be. The darkness is not empty. It is full of rest, full of restoration, full of the possibility of dreams, full of the deep work of sleep that knits up the ravelled sleeve of care. Tonight, like Seneca in his study, you can choose to be done, not defeated, not giving up, not failing, simply done, complete, enough. Blow out your lamp. Let the darkness come. It is a friend, not an enemy. It is permission, not punishment. It is rest, not abandonment. And in that darkness, find peace. Chapter 6. Marcus Aurelius in his winter tent. Snow falls silently outside the emperor's tent, each flake a small miracle of geometry and cold. In Rome, they are warm tonight. In the marble palaces, fires burn in bronze braziers. Slaves bring heated wine. Thick woolen cloaks and imported furs keep the wealthy comfortable. They recline on couches, discussing politics and philosophy, scandals and poetry, while the winter rages impotently outside their thick walls. But Marcus Aurelius is not in Rome. He has not been in Rome for years. He is here, on the frontier, in a military tent that provides more symbol than shelter. The canvas walls shudder in the wind. The coal seeps through every gap. The brazier in the corner provides a circle of warmth that extends perhaps 3 feet, leaving the rest of the space touched by winter's teeth. This is the Emperor of Rome, ruler of the known world, commander of legions that could crush any army on earth, possessor of wealth beyond calculation, holder of power that could end lives with a word. But tonight, on the frozen frontier, far from comfort, he is simply a man. Cold, tired, far from home, far from his wife, his children, his books, his gardens, his familiar comforts. He sits on a simple camp stool, hunched over a small table, writing by candlelight. Not proclamations that will be inscribed in marble, not orders that will move armies across continents, not laws that will govern millions, just thoughts, personal thoughts, reminders to himself, questions he asks his own soul, observations about life and death, virtue and vice, what matters and what doesn't. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. He has every reason to be anxious tonight. The reasons line up like enemy soldiers on a field of battle, waiting to overwhelm him, wars to win. The Germanic tribes press against the frontier constantly. Victory is uncertain. Men die daily. The campaigns stretch on year after year with no clear resolution. Enemies at the border, barbarians who know nothing of Roman law, Roman culture, Roman philosophy, men who see the empire as something to plunder rather than join, plague in the capital, disease brought back by soldiers from the east. It has ravaged Rome, killed thousands, possibly millions across the empire. Even now it spreads. Even now, people die in numbers too large to count. Treachery in the Senate. Even here, hundreds of miles from Rome, he receives letters, whispers of conspiracy, plots against his rule, men who smile to his face and sharpen knives behind his back. His own body failing. He's not young anymore. The constant campaigns have worn him down. He coughs at night. His joints ache in the cold. He knows, though he doesn't speak of it, that his time is limited. But here, in this moment, he chooses stillness, not ignorance. He knows all these troubles, not denial. He acknowledges the reality of his situation, not escape. He will face these challenges tomorrow. But right now, in this moment, he chooses peace. This is the great Stoic practice. Not to control external events, that is impossible, but to control the mind's response to events, to choose what these circumstances mean, to decide what they will do to your inner world. If an emperor, with the weight of the world on his shoulders, with threats pressing in from every direction, with responsibilities that would crush most men, could find peace in a frozen tent, then you can find peace here, in your bed, in your life, in your circumstances, whatever they are. The wars will still be there tomorrow. The enemies will not vanish. The plague will not suddenly be cured. The cold will not become warm. The problems will not solve themselves. But tonight he can rest. He wrote in these very notebooks, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul, not in a palace, not in comfort, not in perfect circumstances, not in victory or success or solved problems, but within, in the fortress of the mind, in the citadel of the soul. That place is always available, always peaceful, always sufficient. It requires no special circumstances, no perfect conditions, no resolution of outer problems. It only requires the decision to retreat there, the choice to remember, I am more than my circumstances. My peace does not depend on everything being right. My worth is not measured by external success." Marcus closes his journal. The leather cover is worn from being carried across continents, through campaigns, in all weather. These thoughts have been his companions through years of struggle. They will outlive him, though he doesn't know that as he sets them aside tonight. He stands, stretches. His back protests. His knees remind him of decades of riding, marching, standing in armour. He is 50-something years old, though he feels ancient. He has been emperor since he was 40. It has aged him beyond his years. He moves to the simple cot that serves as his bed, no different from what his soldiers sleep on, no special privilege, no imperial luxury. He could command silk sheets, feather pillows, heated spaces. He could sleep in comfort while his men suffer in the cold, but he doesn't. He shares their hardship because he believes a leader should, because comfort would separate him from them, because philosophy is not just words, but how you live. He covers himself with a heavy military cloak, wool, thick, practical. It smells of smoke and travel and the particular scent of army camps. Leather, horses, men, mud, endurance. The most powerful man in the world sleeps in a cold tent, and he sleeps well, because he knows his worth is not in his circumstances. His peace is not dependent on comfort. His mind is his own. No one can take that from him. Not the barbarians at the gate, not the traitors in Rome, not the plague, not the cold, not death itself when it comes. His mind is his own. His thoughts are his to direct. His responses are his to choose. That is his kingdom. That is his power. That is his freedom. And so tonight, like an emperor in his winter tent, you too can find peace. Not in having everything solved, not in perfect conditions, not in comfort or success or ideal circumstances, but in choosing to rest, in choosing to accept, in choosing to remember that you are more than your problems, that peace is possible even when everything is not resolved. The candle burns lower. Marcus's breathing deepens. Outside, the snow continues to fall, indifferent to emperors and empires, covering everything in white silence. And in that silence there is peace. Chapter 7. The Bathhouse at Night. The last customer has gone home. The attendants have finished their cleaning and departed. The fires that heated the water all day have been banked to embers. Now the bathhouse is empty, truly empty, silent in a way it never is during the day. During the day, this place was full of life, voices echoing off the high-vaulted ceilings, laughter bouncing between marble walls, debate and discussion in the various pools, business deals negotiated in the warm water, gossip exchanged between steam and soap. The Roman bathhouse was never just about bathing. It was the social centre, the gathering place, the commons where all classes mixed, the wealthy and the poor, the powerful and the powerless, all naked together in the democratic space of warm water. But now, only silence, only the sound of water dripping, only the echo of your own footsteps if you were here. The Romans understood something profound about human beings. They understood that we are not just minds floating in space. We are not pure spirits untouched by physical reality. We are embodied creatures. We have bodies that ache and tense and hold memory in their very tissues. And so they built these spaces, these temples to the body, these acknowledgements that caring for the flesh is not separate from caring for the soul. The Stoics came here too, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus. These philosophers who taught about virtue and rationality and controlling the mind also soaked in hot water. They also felt the tension drain from their muscles. They also knew the relief of physical comfort. They understood we are not just minds, we are bodies too, and pretending otherwise is neither wisdom nor philosophy. It is delusion. The body holds the day's struggles, every moment of tension, every flash of anger, every spike of fear. The body remembers. The shoulders rise and tighten. The jaw clenches. The hands curl into fists. The breath grows shallow. The mind may try to forget, to move on, to rationalize and explain and dismiss. But the body keeps the score. It holds what the mind tries to release. Tension lives in the shoulders like a permanent resident. From hours of hunching over work, from carrying invisible weights, from the unconscious bracing against the world's impacts. Tightness grips the jaw, from words bitten back, from anger swallowed, from the constant effort of remaining civil when you want to scream. Exhaustion settles into every muscle, not just from physical labour, though that too, but from the invisible labour of being human, of making decisions, of carrying responsibilities, of showing up day after day. The body remembers what the mind tries to forget, and so the warmth, the water, the quiet. This is not luxury. This is care. This is wisdom. This is acknowledging the wholeness of a human experience. As you rest tonight, imagine the warmth, not as fantasy, but as real sensation in your body right now. Imagine the tension beginning to soften, like stone warmed by the sun, slowly releasing the cold of night, like metal in a forge becoming malleable, like ice at the edge of spring, remembering how to flow. Feel the shoulders beginning to drop, just a millimeter, just the smallest release. Feel the jaw unclenching, the teeth parting, the tongue softening in the mouth. Feel the hands unfolding, the fingers releasing their grip on nothing, the wrist going loose, the arms growing heavy with the permission to stop holding, stop reaching, stop grasping. There is something sacred in spaces designed for release. The ancient world knew this. They built temples to the gods, yes, great marble structures where they made offerings and prayers, but they also built bathhouses. They also created spaces dedicated simply to the body's ease, because they understood that the sacred includes the body, that honouring the divine includes honouring the flesh, that spiritual practice and physical care are not opposites, but complements. The warm water in these pools was more than heated liquid. It was a ritual, a practice, a recognition that tension must be released, that the body must be allowed to soften, that we are not machines meant to run constantly until we break. So tonight, as the ancient bathhouse grows quiet, as the last ripples fade from the water, as the steam slowly dissipates into the cool night air, let your body do the same. Release the shoulders, actually do it now. Let them drop, Let them be heavy. Let gravity take them. Soften the jaw. Open it slightly. Let the face go slack in a way you rarely allow in public. Let the hands unfold. Uncurl the fingers. Let them rest on the bed beside you, open, receiving nothing, holding nothing. Let the breath deepen, not forcing it, just allowing it. The inhale a little longer, the exhale a little slower. The pause between breaths, a moment of absolute stillness. The Romans had a saying, Balnea, vina, Venus corrumpunt corpora nostra, sed vitam faciunt. Baths, wine, and love may ruin our bodies, but they make life worth living. They understood that purity is not the goal, that denying the body is not virtue, that life is meant to be lived fully, embodied, present, in the flesh. Tonight, we ask for nothing dangerous. We're not speaking of excess or indulgence or escape. We're speaking of the simple, profound care of warm water, of rest, of the body's right to ease. Only warmth, only release, only rest. The bathhouse stands empty now, but its purpose remains, to remind us that we are not meant to be constantly tense, constantly vigilant, constantly armoured against the world. We are meant to soften sometimes, to let down, to allow warmth to penetrate our defended places. Tonight, let the ancient bathhouse teach you. Let its empty pools and cooling stones remind you that rest is not weakness, that physical comfort is not shameful, that your body deserves care, and in that care find peace. Chapter 8. Night on the Hill of Philosophers. Above the city, far from the streets and the noise, there is a hill. It has no name in history books. No marker tells you this is where the great minds gathered. But in the geography of the soul, this hill exists. It has always existed. It will always exist. Tonight, as the ancient world quiets, and the lamps in the city below grow fewer and more scattered, 12 figures stand on this hill in silence. This is not a real night, not a documented meeting, not an event you can mark on a calendar or point to in history. This is the night of all nights, the gathering of all gatherings, the meeting that happens outside of time, in the space where ideas live. Here stand the great minds. Socrates, who was executed for asking too many questions. Plato, his student, who built an academy and tried to capture truth in dialogues. Aristotle, who categorized everything and taught a future conqueror. Zeno of Citium, who founded Stoicism while recovering from a shipwreck. Chrysippus, who wrote 700 books trying to perfect Stoic logic. Cleanthes, who drew water from wells all night to pay for his philosophy lessons during the day. Seneca, who advised emperors and wrote letters to the future. Epictetus, who was born a slave and died free. Marcus Aurelius, who ruled an empire and wrote to himself in the dark. And others whose names have been lost to time, whose scrolls burned in fires, whose words were never recorded, whose thoughts dissolved back into the great silence, but whose wisdom remains somehow in the way humans continue to ask the same questions, seek the same truths, struggle with the same challenges. They stand in silence, not debating, not lecturing, not performing their philosophies for an audience, just being, just looking up, just feeling what humans have always felt beneath stars. For thousands of years, humans have stood like this, looking up at the night sky, feeling small, feeling connected, feeling the strange paradox of insignificance and meaning. Every person who ever lived has looked at these same stars. The chemistry of fusion that creates their light has not changed. The vast distances that separate them have not shrunk. The patterns in our perception, these constellations we named and mythologized, remain constant. They form. Every emperor looked up and saw these stars. Every slave, every philosopher, every merchant, every soldier, every farmer, every child, every old person facing their last days, every young person imagining their future, the same stars, the same vastness, the same questions. We are all part of something incomprehensibly vast. The universe extends in all directions, perhaps infinitely. Billions of galaxies, each containing billions of stars, distances so large they break our ability to comprehend, timescales so long that all of human history is barely a flicker. And yet we are here, in this moment, in this body, in this brief flash of consciousness that emerged from atoms, will exist for a while, and will return to atoms. We are the universe become aware of itself. We are stardust contemplating stars. We are matter organized in such a way that it can wonder about its own existence. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Dwell on the beauty of life, watch the stars, and see yourself running with them." You are not separate from this cosmos. You are not a stranger in it, an alien observer, an outsider looking in. You are made of stars. Your body contains iron forged in supernovas. Your carbon came from the hearts of ancient suns. Your water has existed since shortly after the universe began, cycling through clouds and oceans, through countless bodies, through all of life's history. You are animated by the same force that moves the planets, the electricity in your nervous system, the chemical reactions in your cells, the forces that hold your atoms together. These are the same forces that govern galaxies. The ancients knew this, though they lacked our modern physics. They felt their place in the vastness. They understood that to be human is to be both infinitesimally small and profoundly significant. Not with fear, not with the existential dread that comes from seeing yourself as meaningless, not with insignificance that crushes the spirit, but with belonging, with a deep sense that you are part of this. You are not separate, you are not other, you are woven into the fabric of existence itself. You come from a long line, not just your genetic ancestors, though them too, but a longer line, a line of conscious beings who looked up at stars and wondered, a line of humans who endured, who faced the same troubles you face: loss, fear, pain, uncertainty, the awareness of mortality, who suffered, who felt grief and disappointment and the weight of a life's hardships, who loved, who found beauty in small things, who connected with others across the gap of separate consciousness, who questioned, who asked why and how and what does it mean, who looked up at the stars and wondered about their place in all of this. You are not alone, you never were. You are part of an unbroken chain of consciousness stretching back to the first human who looked up at night and felt wonder instead of only fear. Every worry you have, someone ancient worried too. The same anxiety about the future, the same uncertainty about decisions, the same fear about whether you're enough. Every pain you feel, someone ancient felt too. The same heartbreak, the same loss, the same physical suffering and emotional anguish. Every joy, every doubt, every fear, every hope has been felt before. You are not unique in your suffering or your happiness. You are part of the human experience that has been happening for hundreds of thousands of years. And they endured, through plagues worse than ours, through wars more brutal, through losses more total, through circumstances we can barely imagine. They endured, they continued, they found reasons to go on. And you will endure too. You will continue. You will find your reasons. Because that is what humans do. That is what we have always done. The philosophers on the hill begin to fade now. Not with sadness, but with completion. They came together for this moment, this reminder, and now they return to wherever ideas go, when. They're not being thought, but their wisdom remains, whispered in the wind that moves through olive trees, written in the patterns of stars, encoded in the very fact that you are here, asking these same eternal questions. And tonight, under these same stars that have watched over billions of human nights, you are part of that story. Not as an observer, but as a participant. Not as someone separate from the grand narrative, but as a thread woven into it. The stars will remain after you're gone. They were here long before you arrived. This might seem sad, might seem like it makes your life meaningless. But the Stoics saw it differently. They saw that being part of something larger, something eternal, something vast beyond comprehension. This gives meaning. This connects you to everything. This makes your brief moment of consciousness precious precisely because it is brief. You are here, now, under these stars, part of this vast, unfolding story, and that is enough. That has always been enough. Chapter 9. The Inner Citadel. There is a place you can always return to, no matter where you are, no matter what is happening. The Stoics called it many things. The inner citadel, the fortress of the mind, the sanctuary of the soul, the place within that cannot be touched by external circumstances. This is not a metaphor. This is real as anything in your experience. More real, perhaps, than most of what you think of as reality. It is not a place of stone. You cannot build it with hands or find it on a map. You cannot travel to it by walking or riding or sailing. Yet it is more accessible than any physical location. You can arrive there in an instant, in the time it takes to close your eyes and remember. This is the place behind your thoughts, not the thoughts themselves. Those come and go, rise and fall like waves on an ocean. But the awareness that watches the thoughts, the consciousness that knows it is thinking, behind your fears. The fears are real, but they are not you. They are experiences moving through the space of your awareness. You are the space, not the weather passing through it. Behind your worries, the concerns that occupy your mind, that create scenarios and problems and anxieties. These are not the depths of who you are. They are surface movements, important perhaps, but not fundamental. In this place, nothing can harm you. This is not denial. This is not pretending problems don't exist. This is recognizing a deeper truth. Your essential nature cannot be damaged by circumstances. Not the past. What happened, happened. It shaped you, yes. It influenced you. It left marks. But it cannot touch the core of your being, the awareness that existed before those events and continues after. Not the future. Whatever will happen, will happen. You can prepare, you can plan, you can work toward outcomes. But the essential you, the consciousness reading these words right now, is unthreatened by future events, not the opinions of others. They think what they think. Their judgments are their own. Their approval or disapproval is about them, not about the truth of who you are, not your own harsh judgments. The voice in your head that criticizes, that says you're not enough, that catalogues your failures, that voice is not the judge of reality. It is not the truth teller it pretends to be. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the colour of its thoughts." In this citadel, you can choose the colour. Not easily, not without practice, not without returning again and again to this place and remembering that you have this power. You can choose peace, not perfect peace, not uninterrupted calm, but the decision to return to peace again and again, no matter how many times you're pulled away from it. You can choose calm, in the midst of chaos, in the middle of crisis. Even while everything around you is turbulent, you can find the eye of the storm, the stillness at the centre. You can choose to let go of resentments, of regrets, of the need to control what cannot be controlled, of the stories you tell yourself about how things should be. The world outside will continue, its noise, its demands, its chaos, its endless parade of problems and challenges and difficulties. But here, in the inner citadel, there is only stillness. This is not escape. The Stoics were not advocating for withdrawal from life. Marcus Aurelius didn't retreat to a monastery. Seneca didn't avoid the world. Epictetus didn't hide from his responsibilities. They engaged fully with life. They faced their challenges. They acted in the world, but they acted from this place of inner stillness, not from the reactive chaos of unexamined thoughts and emotions. You don't need to defend this place. It is not under attack. It cannot be invaded. Its walls are not made of material that can be breached. It is defended by your awareness, by your choice to return here, by your decision to remember again and again that this place exists. Whenever the world becomes too much, you can return here, not as a permanent retreat, not as a way to avoid life, but as a source of strength, a place of restoration, a reminder of who you are beneath all the chaos, in the middle of a difficult day, when the challenges pile up, when everything seems to be going wrong, when you feel overwhelmed. Close your eyes for a moment. Breathe. Remember the citadel, in the middle of a painful conversation, when words are cutting, when emotions are high, when you want to react from hurt or anger. Pause. Touch the stillness within. Respond from there, in the middle of fear or anger. When these powerful emotions rise up, threatening to take over, threatening to make you do or say things you'll regret, remember, you are not the fear. You are not the anger. You are the awareness that witnesses them. You can close your eyes, take a breath, and remember. Inside you is a fortress, not made of stone, but of consciousness, not defended by walls, but by awareness, not built through effort, but discovered through recognition of what has always been there. Nothing can disturb it. Not really. Not at its core. The surface may be troubled, like a wind rippling across water, but the depths remain still. Nothing can invade it. You can invite thoughts in, or you can let them pass by. You can engage with emotions, or you can watch them arise and fade. You have sovereignty here that you have nowhere else. This is your birthright, not earned through virtue, though virtue helps you remember it, not granted by external authority, though wisdom can point the way. It is simply yours, by virtue of being conscious, of being human, of being here. This inner peace, this inner strength, this place of stillness that exists beneath all the noise. The Stoics knew this. They carried it with them into battle, knowing that while their bodies might be harmed, their essential selves remained untouched. They carried it into exile, knowing that while their circumstances changed, their inner freedom remained. They carried it into death, knowing that while their bodies would cease, something had been present during their lives that transcended mere physical existence. And tonight, as you prepare for sleep, you can rest in this fortress, in this place that has always been yours, in this citadel that cannot be breached. Nothing can reach you here, no worry, no fear, no disturbance. The gates are closed, the walls are strong, and you are safe. Chapter 10. The world falls silent. The deepest part of night has arrived, that hour when even the restless find rest, when even the anxious grow still. when the world itself seems to pause and breathe. The scribe is sleeping now, his work covered, his lamp extinguished. His dreams, if he has them, are of ordinary things, or perhaps of nothing at all, just a deep restorative unconsciousness that the body requires. The traveller is sleeping beneath his olive tree. The night air has grown cool, but his cloak is warm enough. His pack makes an uncomfortable pillow, but exhaustion makes any surface soft. Tomorrow he will walk again, but tonight he rests. The philosopher is sleeping in his simple room. His last thoughts before sleep were not profound philosophical insights, just tired human thoughts, relief that the day is done, gratitude for the bed, however simple, the ordinary thoughts of an ordinary man. The emperor is sleeping in his frozen tent. The candle has burned down. The cold is intense, but sleep comes anyway, because it must, because even emperors are human and subject to human needs. The world has released its grip. The demands of the day, which seem so urgent in the light, have loosened their hold. The problems that loomed so large have receded to their proper size. The worries that chattered so insistently in the mind have finally quieted. The questions can wait. They will still be there tomorrow, patient as stones. What is the meaning of life? How should I live? What matters most? Am I doing enough? These eternal questions will be there when you wake. The worries can wait. The concerns about the future, the regrets about the past, the anxieties about the present, they will all wait. They do not need to be resolved tonight. The plans can wait. The goals you're working toward, the dreams you're building, the futures you're imagining, they will all still be there. One night of rest will not erase them. The Stoics taught many things across the centuries. They taught virtue, how to be good in a difficult world. They taught resilience, how to endure what must be endured. They taught wisdom, how to see clearly, think carefully, act well. They taught about fate and about freedom, about what we control and what we don't, about living in accordance with nature, about the interconnectedness of all things. They taught courage in the face of fear, justice in systems of injustice, temperance in moments of desire, wisdom in times of confusion. But tonight, the lesson is simpler than all of that, simpler and perhaps more difficult. It is okay to rest. You have permission from the universe if you need permission from something that grand. From the Stoics, if their authority matters to you. From the fact of your own exhaustion, if that's sufficient. It is okay to stop, to cease striving for a while, to let ambition sleep, to release your grip on goals and plans and futures, to simply be here, now, without agenda. It is okay to let go of the day that's ending, of the person you were when you woke up. You are different now, changed by today's experiences, and that old self can be released. Of the need to have everything figured out, of the burden of constant effort. Sleep as the ancients slept, not with perfect peace. They had their worries too, their fears, their troubled dreams, but with acceptance, with the understanding that this is part of the rhythm. Work and rest, doing and being, day and night, without fear, or, if fear is present, without letting it rule, feeling the fear but sleeping anyway, without hurry, not trying to rush toward tomorrow, not anxious to get sleep over with so you can return to striving, but sinking into it, letting it take its time, allowing rest to do its deep work. Without the need to have everything resolved, this is perhaps the hardest part. To sleep while problems remain unsolved, to rest while questions remain unanswered, to close your eyes while work remains undone, but this is wisdom. To recognize that you cannot do everything, that rest is not negotiable, that sleep is not a luxury to be earned, but a necessity to be honoured. Tomorrow is another day. This is not dismissal of today's challenges. It is recognition that time continues, that you will have another chance, that morning comes with new strength. But tonight, rest. The ancient world is quiet now. The lamps have all been extinguished. The streets are empty. The forums are silent. The bathhouses are dark. The schools and shops and markets and temples, all still. And in that stillness there is profound peace. Sleep well.